The work week prior to this hunt couldn't have gone any slower, but we finally got our shit together after a year of waiting and planning and set out on our next mission. The plan was to scout the tops of the Nelson Lakes National Park on the hunt for some big-headed red stags. Departing on a Thursday night after a short week of mahi, we planned to knock a few hours off our walk-in so we could spend as much time as possible in prime deer country. With Simon being the only one who had hunted this area, he knew exactly what we were in for. He said that it might be a bit of a push, which translates a hell of a lot like Greg Julia's classic saying, piece of piss. We knew then we'd be in for a hell of a time. We pressed on into the evening and tried to keep the pace up while we still had light. Although walking in the dark is slightly more risky, the obvious call is to take it easy and not push ourselves harder than safely possible. But with the sun behind the hills, there is the benefit of cooler weather.
Still f***ing hot though, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm sweating.
Fuck, it's f***ing stonking.
That's the shit they don't show you on TV.
We then worked down into the riverbed and started making way towards our campsite for the night, seeing plenty of sign and spotting a few deer grazing, but they cleared off pretty quickly once they saw us. By chance, we stumbled across a couple of sets of eyes completely unfazed by our presence, so Simon decided to sneak in and take a closer look. Whether she eventually caught wind of us, or had second thoughts about the origins of the mysterious light source, this hind and her young fawn cleared off. A pretty magic moment to capture. After about 2.5 hours of bashing up the river, we called it quits and set up camp on a grass clearing. Simon threw some cold frankfurters and a wrap, which was a real treat, believe it or not. We had a massive day of walking ahead, so that spelled the end of day one. Alarms were set and alarms were snoozed, but regardless, we managed to get up in a relatively timely manner and were straight into the zone. Get fed, get caffeinated, and get gone. Aiming for the tops, the well-rested troops got into it. Our last pit stop at the river gave us a chance to fill our water bottles and have a snack before we gave this little hill Simon told us about a nudge. It was good going, well beaten tracks and not too much steep shit. For a start at least. A few arseovers and a few more swear words and this hill was finally conquered. I got there, but only just. The other boys felt the burn, but being the fit, stoic bastards they are, they got to the top with a bit more ease than my lanky frame. But the sight of the hut and the tarn that accompanied it was enough to make the punishment well worthwhile. We rested our bones for a minute and had a feed, but getting up here finally meant we were right in the mix. It was a push. Just a bit of a push. We pushed up the ridge adjacent to the hut and started scoping out the country on offer. A lone stag was grazing his way up the face not far from us, and a group of hinds were doing the same. But based on the number of animals we had seen on the way up, these weren't of too much interest to us until we saw a chamois right there. Right there. Oh, bro. This little bugger popped out not even 100 metres away from where me and Jade were parked up. I was first in line for a chamois, but I couldn't work out if it was the animal I wanted.
We're unsure whether it's worth going for it. It looks like he might be popping over that bridge line there shortly.
With light fading quick, I had a look through the scope, but he was well onto us at this point, and hitting a moving target wasn't my best skill.
You should be just over 200. Yeah. Lost him. Don't feel rushed or pressured. Yeah.
I'm not going to shoot if I can't really good shot on.
No, for sure.
We're not shooting it. Even though, oh, fuck, it is a pretty good book. I certainly have a conservative outlook when it comes to taking an animal. I don't like pulling the trigger on something for the sake of it being within shooting range, and especially if it's not a guaranteed kill. It didn't feel right for me to take that shot, but there's always next time. But we did have something to brighten the night. Simon brought us his signature hillside dessert, instant pudding. He even packed a secret ingredient.
Full cream milk.
Thinking we had the bulk of the walk out of the way, we had a spring in our step. I say thinking because Simon has this tendency to not give us the full story when it comes to the next leg of our travels. For good reason. It keeps spirits high across the group, not knowing we have a big nudge ahead. As we scaled the hills, we came across what may have been the same chamois we let walk last night. Lucky we had a seasoned expert on board to give us a rundown on their existence.
About 250 yards.
What are we looking at, mate?
Yeah, that's elusive killed horn chamois. Different in New Zealand to over in South Africa where you normally find them.
You're well acknowledged, mate.
Born for this.
You've probably got to wondering whether we saw any animals worth taking in these hills. Through the countless number of hinds and stags that weren't packing the best lids, we spotted a group of deer taking shelter from the blistering sun, with one being the perfect candidate for Jade's first trophy animal. Brilliant, Jade.
Wait. Hopefully he dropped. Wait, God.
Oh, good shit, bro. Good shot. And just like that, Jade nailed his first stag with a clean shot straight to the boiler room. He's been patiently waiting for a chance to get one on the deck, and today was his day. We wasted no time at all getting down there for the deer and for the shade he was sitting in.
The boost, boy. He's on.
We were all bloody stoked for Jade bagging this stag, and as tradition we always get a group photo with the animal because it only takes one person to pull the trigger, but it takes a team to haul the meat off the hill. Jade also conveniently dropped his deer in a spot of reception, and we were able to get Lee's 3-year-old son Cooper, who was absolutely mad about hunting on the blower, to see his Uncle Jade's latest achievement.
Let's go.
Yeah, boy.
You did shoot a fellow back. Is that pretty cool?
Yeah.
Now hopefully someone else can shoot one. If I can shoot one, I'll send you a picture of it too, eh?
Yeah. Bye,
I love you, mister.
Because we are limited by the weight of our packs, there is only so much meat we were able to take off the hill. The antlers, back steaks, eye fillets and hind corners were taken off and deboned, and because of the shot placement, the forequarters weren't in the best nick, so we left them behind. After getting it all bagged up, we headed back to camp. Jade quietly reminded me in the process of editing this video that it's probably worth telling the viewers the massive nudge he put in to get that trophy and meat back to camp at the top of the hill. We stuffed it in his pack and he charged up there. Well done, Jade, you're a beast, mate. We were also lucky enough to have a Kia park up and hang out for a bit. It's been a goal of mine to see one of these close up for a while.
I've just caught myself a Kia. A small Kia.
It's always a great thing to hear and see good numbers of native birds in these hills. These sort of characters are what makes New Zealand wildlife so unique.
Me and Kieran are just going down to this town just over the bridge here to get some water. The boys are just going to get eyes on the stag. Catch up with them later.
Lee and Simon had spotted another promising stag on our way back from Jade's one, but he managed to sneak out of sight, and by this time we were all looking forward to having some fresh venison for dinner and parking up for the evening. And we'd brought all the essentials: salt, pepper, onion powder, garlic powder and chili flakes. It's always worth the effort to elevate the meals we consume on the hill. Just gives you something else to look forward to at the end of the day.
Is it light fillet?
Good chill, mate.
Fuck yeah.
Day 4 was our last full day of hunting before we walked out. We wanted to cover new country every day, and we had been planning our hunting ground so if we were to shoot something in one area, it wouldn't disturb the next. So we had a lot of land we hadn't even glassed yet, and once again it was full of deer. It was becoming very visible the damage these animals can do in big numbers, but that's the beauty of hunting deer in New Zealand. Not only are you helping control a population of animals that are destructive to native fauna, but you get some of the best quality meat on the planet out of it too. It's a win-win. If populations get out of control, feed gets scarce, and animal quality dwindles, and nobody wants that. It's not about killing a living thing. It's not just about taking home some antlers. It's the ultimate experience of New Zealand's backcountry and part of our love of the land. We definitely couldn't complain about the weather we got on this trip. Not a single cloud in the sky, no breeze, no shade, and no escape from that bloody sun. Hell, it was hot. From one campsite to the next, there was next to no drinking water. The boys were just about pissing solids, they were that parched. So what we saw when we crested the saddle to our campsite was nothing less than euphoric. deer fat is usually looked over as a usable food item, labelled as rancid and commonly blamed for ruining the flavour of the meat when in large quantities. We always keep fat from our animals so we can render it down. It's actually bloody nice to fry with and really good for greasing up your stone grill. Don't knock it till you try it. After smashing as much food as we could to try lighten the load for the walk out tomorrow, we rolled into our last go at getting a big bugger. Yesterday, while walking to our last campsite, we saw a bloody good stag just over the ridge from where we are now, but he had packed up and pissed off by the time we got within reach. Bugger. Plan B was to walk a loop through the land that we had left to eventually end up back at the camp with the hope of coming across something on the way. Where's the fifth one sitting?
One behind the flexes.
Oh,
See all five now.
oh yeah, roger that. Mobs of deer keep popping up all over the joint. Unfortunately, none of them were thick timbered 12 pointers we'd hoped for. But we knew we had space for one more load of meat in our packs, so we did our small bit to help control the deer population.
Roll them.
You up there?
A great shot from Lee on a young stag confirmed our meat payload, and a bonus set of antlers to bring home to his son Cooper. A good end result. After 5 days on the hill, it's always bittersweet making tracks for home. This area certainly provided for some epic memories and some incredible scenery too. It's great to be able to document what we have in our backyard and have a physical memory of all the milestones we ticked off on this trip.
Enjoyed it.
Shit.
Big tick off the bucket list.
Killer be killed.
We have plenty more hunts on the horizon, so make sure you keep your eye out for our future films. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next hunt.
Shake you.
Hey!
The big one.
Yeah, man. Daddy got that for you.